So, all right, everybody, we're back at it again with none other than Maggie, aka Megan Spadafora. She's a freshman midfielder for the York College field hockey team. First things first, thanks for taking the time to talk to me today.
You're welcome.
All right, so let's get right into these questions. So, describe to me your freshman year overall from, the classes, being on your, I know you're local, but, being away from home for the first time and just the overall college experience.
I had a great freshman year. I mean, I loved being part of the field hockey team. Classes weren't too bad just because like my freshman year, I usually just take gen eds. So like nothing too serious yet, but I met a lot of new people. I had fun. Being away from home was like definitely a change at first, but like living with a roommate, it's not too bad because I always have someone there with me.
Yeah. And all your teammates are, I know
Yeah.
you guys are like pretty close. So I mean that obviously helps as well. So so like we were saying with you being a part of the field hockey team, talk about the level of competition, and just the overall training and stuff. Like, was it kind of what you were expecting, easier, harder? Like, what are your overall thoughts about what Coach Katie put you guys through this year?
Um, it was definitely harder than I thought it was gonna be. I feel like there's kind of like a stigma in like D3 that's like not that hard or the chat there's not good competition, but like we've played some really good teams and it's really highly competitive. We're training and working out all the time. Like I have friends who play Division 1 field hockey, and like our in-season training at least is almost like the same thing. I mean, for D3, out of season is a little different just because you can only have so many practices. But yeah, we practice 2 hours every day. We lift in the mornings twice a week. One day a week we have a 6 a.m. practice. So it's definitely not easy, but it is manageable.
Yeah, so kind of like what you're saying with the all out of season training being a little different from D3 to D1. What are you currently doing right now to make sure you're staying in shape and doing what you need to do in preparation for next year?
So, well, in the spring, we have 15 practices where we just train with our coach, but we do have like little sessions in between that are like small session practices where we split up into two different groups and we're working out, I think, 3 days a week, and then in the weightlifting room. And then we also have fitness testing somewhere in there. But
Yeah.
then in the summertime, we have our summer packet, which just like lists all our workouts. And our workouts are based on our mile time. So obviously some runs are going to be harder for other people. So it lists what days we do weight training and then what days we should do running and then how many days we should be doing stick skills.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, obviously, those are summer workouts, without a coach can be kind of difficult because like you got no one there, like, watching over you. So yeah. But talk to me about, obviously you guys are very good, talk to me about how the culture has kind of played a part in your guys' success. Because even in my time here, you guys have gotten a lot better. I think my freshman year back in the day, we were like maybe 500, but now we're a very competitive team. I think we were 14-5 this year, and we had ranked wins over like F&M and stuff. So talk to me about how the team culture kind of plays a part in your guys' success.
I mean, we just have like a culture to get better each practice. It's like we always say, like, leave the schoolwork and social life behind when you step out onto the field. So we just want to give 110% each practice to make each other better. Also, our coach, Coach Fost, she's just been recruiting really good. She's just really been bringing girls to campus all the time to see how we train, how competitive we are, and yeah, we really just work hard. We go to the gym together in groups. Like if one person goes to the gym, it motivates other people to go to the gym. So it's just really that mindset of we want to be the best team out there. And Coach Voss is also recruiting girls with that same mindset.
Yeah, it kind of like brings in like a like kind of like a I don't want to say culture because that's a little redundant, but like it kind of makes you guys feel that you almost can't be complacent with all the recruiting that Coach Foss is doing, because it's like you could easily get beat out for your spot. You know what I mean? So it kind of creates a, you know, like it's a good problem to have, that like, you know, like Coach Foss is bringing in recruits that are like, they're kind of making each other better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what I got up next on the itinerary is so we talked about school, right? You know, how were
Mhm.
you able to manage keeping such high grades with being such a successful field hockey player?
Um, Honestly, it's just all about time management. Like, no matter how much I wanna, like, take a nap in between like, classes and practice, like, I can't. Like, I gotta get my work done. Um, so, yeah, just going to the library, I can't go back to my dorm just because it's, like, I just wanna socialize then. So, just going to the library and, like, locking myself in a classroom just kinda forces me to get it done. But in season, you kinda have no other option but to get it done. Like, you have no other time to, so you're kinda just forced to.
Yeah. So speaking of school, you know, obviously you're going to school for early education. Is this always something that you wanted to do, or did this kind of just like come into fruition towards the end of your high school career?
No, this is something I always wanted to do. I always loved kids. I've been babysitting since, middle school, and then all throughout high school, I worked at a daycare, so I've been around kids all the time, so I always knew I wanted to be a teacher.
So, do you have any ambitions to coach field hockey? Whether it's, I don't know. I mean, sometimes like, you know, teachers, you know, they work with, you know, a middle school, or if you're a middle school teacher, they work with the high school. Do you have any ambitions to, you know, keep field hockey in your life?
Yeah, so although I wanna be an elementary school teacher, I would love to, coach whatever school district I'm working in, the high school team or the middle school team, so that's definitely something I wanna do. It would also be cool to sometime be an assistant collegiate coach at least, just to coach at that higher level.
I know it's early, but do you plan on staying local, or do you, you know, I don't know, want to explore a little? Because I know when I was at your house a couple weeks ago, you were saying your dad was saying that your mom's from like the Midwest area. I don't know where specifically, but do you have, you know, like any desire to like get out of the York area, since obviously you've lived here your whole life?
Yeah, I do wanna get out of here. I mean, although I'm going to college here, I don't wanna be here my whole life, but I also am very close with my family, so I don't wanna go anywhere too far. So if I were to move, I'm looking towards maybe just like Lancaster area, half an hour to 45 minutes away. I don't wanna be too far, but I definitely wanna go somewhere outside of York.
So backtracking a little bit, obviously, like we just mentioned, you've lived here your whole life. You know, talk to me about your recruiting process. You know, what schools you were considering. You know, what division, and kind of like what separated York from the pack, and like what the silver lining was when you decided to come to school here.
So York College was always my backup choice. I didn't want to stay in York. I wanted to get out of here, but it just happened. I ended up at York. I thought I was going to end up at Ursinus, um, but turns out they didn't have early elementary education. They just had secondary education. So then that was out of the picture. And then I was getting recruited by Lock Haven, which is a small Division 1 school, but um, I just knew that this was my last 4 years to ever play field hockey competitively in my life. And I didn't want to go somewhere where I know I'm not going to get much playing time because there's so many better players than me on the team. So I just wanted to go somewhere to have fun and enjoy my last 4 years.
Yeah, that totally makes a lot of sense. So we talked about, you know, you talked about earlier about, you know, this is like you always had, you know, Riley to fall back on as a friend. Talk to me about, you know, share or having, I guess, a roommate for the first time in your, you know, in your life probably. Did you guys butt heads at all at first, or you know, or did you guys always, you know, get along? Since I know sometimes that's a thing.
Me and Riley have never gotten into a fight or a disagreement. Like, we're both very laid back people. Like, the room will be a complete mess and like we just like don't care. Like, I'm like, it just doesn't bother me. What she does doesn't bother me. What I do doesn't bother her. So like we never had a disagreement on literally anything. Like she was like the best roommate. I couldn't ask for a better roommate. We're like such we got along so well. We're like the same person almost. So yeah,
Yes.
I love Riley.
Yeah. So Riley, if you're watching, Maggie's got nothing.
I told her I was gonna be on there, so she better watch it.
Yeah. I was gonna say she Snapchatted me earlier about it. But yeah. So okay, this is something I want to talk about. COVID-19. So obviously this time last year, or I shouldn't say this time last year, but the fall of, I guess that was 2020, which was the fall of your senior year. What kind of challenges did COVID present to you personally? I mean, not personally, but from a field hockey perspective.
Well, I was lucky for my senior year. We had a regular field hockey season. We didn't have really any restrictions. I mean, obviously on the sidelines we had to wear masks and stuff. Um, but that was about it. Like nothing was really cut short for us as a field hockey team. We still had senior night. We still did fundraising. So we do this thing called Kilts for a Cause where we play a field hockey game against the football team. We still had that. So honestly, I got really lucky for my fall senior season.
So how did testing and like stuff work for you guys? Like, were you guys getting tested at all? Were you guys in person for schooling, and how that kind of work?
So we were in school Tuesday, Thursday, and that was it. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they were all virtual. But because it was my senior year, I only went into school for a couple classes. So yeah.
Okay, so how did so obviously, right, COVID kind of struck at the end. I shouldn't say kind of, did strike at your end of the year. Do you think that played any um factor in your recruiting process at all? Because obviously, like I have to imagine that, most of the time when you're, taking visits to schools and stuff, like obviously you couldn't because everywhere shut down because of the pandemic. Do you think that played any, factor, put any, weight into where you ended up and what schools you couldn't visit, or no, not really?
I definitely think it did because the only overnight I was able to go to, because all my other ones were scheduled during COVID, was York's overnight. And that's what kind of sold me on that school. Like I saw how close the team was. And yeah, I think it just kind of happened for a reason. So I committed to York during COVID, I think in April of my junior year. And plus, Coach Foss was just great with like keeping up with me during COVID, seeing how I'm doing, what opportunities I'm taking of playing during that time. And no other coach really reached out like she did. So that was nice.
Yeah, I was actually talking to my mom about this yesterday. Because I think she took over the program, I think maybe like a year or two before I got there. And I was like telling her last night, I'm like, yeah, like she really does like the full 9 yards when it comes to like, because like I was saying earlier, like, I think they were like 500-ish my freshman year. Now, like we were saying, like now we're beating like ranked teams and stuff. Like I know we beat F&M in overtime. They were like, I think they were just outside the top 5 at the time. So like that was obviously a big win. Who'd you happen to stay with on your visit?
I stayed with Sarah Burton in
Oh my
Little
God.
Run.
Oh my God, Sarah. Oh yeah. Oh my
Yes.
God.
Riley was actually on my overnight too, and my other teammate Sophia. So
Who'd they stay with?
uh,
You remember? If not, no big.
I don't know who Sophia stayed with, but Riley stayed with Haley and Sam and Spring Garden.
Yeah, that's yeah. two good girls right there, Sam. Bailey. Oh my God. But, wrapping up here, what would be the biggest piece of advice? What would be your biggest piece of advice that you would give to yourself coming into this year?
Probably just to have fun. Last year, I put, like, so much pressure on myself coming in as an incoming freshman. I was, like, scared, I was so nervous, but at the end of the day, I play field hockey because I love it, and I only have 3 more years now, so I'm just gonna go out and have fun, and I just have fun when I go as hard as I can because 'cause I'm competitive, but, yeah, just to make the best of it.
I actually lied. I got one more thing for you. Now,
Okay.
so obviously you are going to be a sophomore, right? So do you have any, like, are you taking any sort of leadership role on the team, compared to what you were as a freshman now? Since you're no longer a freshman and you're gonna be have kids coming in younger than you. Like, do you have any like, like, do you hold yourself to any higher standard that you have because you're gonna be, I don't want to say you're an upperclassman, but you are, like I was saying, you're no longer a freshman now. So like, yeah, like I was saying, like, are you taking like a leadership role in the team now?
I've definitely been taking more of a leadership role. My freshman year, I came in very shy and quiet. Although I don't have like a label leader role, I definitely want to um, speak up a little bit more, which I definitely tried to do in the spring. If you ask my teammates, I feel like I got a little bit more out of my shell with talking and speaking in the circle. But yeah, I definitely want to take more of a leadership role coming up as an upperclassman. So
Yeah, because we say that all the time as wrestlers. Like, you don't necessarily need to have a title to be a good teammate. You don't need to have a title to
mhm.
be a leader. You don't need to be like, I mean, I don't know who your captains are, but you don't need to have like some sort of name tied to yours that, like, to be a good teammate, lead by example, whether that's or I mean lead, whether that's by example or vocally. Like, he doesn't, you don't need to have a certain title to be a good teammate and a lead. But Megan, thank you for the time today. I truly appreciate you coming on. I hope you have a fantastic summer. And that's all I
Thank you
got
for
for you.
having me. I hope you have a good summer too.
Problem.